Black played. On b4, pause the video and try to find white's next move. King e6. Knight b5. On f5. Knight d4 check. King e5. White considers playing king takes d4 and dominate the board. Knight e2 move preferred by black. Black considers playing knight takes c1 and gain a significant edge. On f6 was chosen by white. Knight takes c1. On f7. Knight d3 check. King f5. King b5. On promotes to queen at f8. On b3, black is struggling to keep up. Let's go to the next game. Black played. Knight g6. Pause the video to find out white's response. Black might go for knight f4 check. King h2. King takes g4 and dominate the board. Bishop c8 move preferred by white. On d5. Bishop takes b7. On takes c4. Bishop c6. White might go for on b7. King f4. On promotes to queen at b8. King e3. King h2 and gain a significant edge. On c3 played by black. Black considers playing on c2. King g2. Knight f4 check. King f2. On promotes to queen at c1 and dominate the board. Bishop a4 was chosen by white. Knight e7. Black is aiming to play knight c6. King g2. Knight takes a5 and establish a winning position. On b7 move preferred by white. On c2. On promotes to queen at b8. On promotes to queen at c1. Queen takes e5 check. Knight f5. Queen takes f5 check. King h6. White has a decisive advantage. Let's go to the next game. White just played rook d5. Pause the video and try to predict black's next move. On takes g3 check. On takes g3. Queen e6. On b6. Queen f7. On b7. White's idea is to play pawn promotes to rook at b8 and put immense pressure on the opponent. On f2 move preferred by black. Black wants to play on e3. Queen b2. On promotes to queen at f1 and increase their advantage significantly. On promotes to queen at b8 was chosen by white. On promotes to queen at f1. Black is looking to play queen 7f to mate and establish a winning position. Queen f4 played by white. White is aiming to play queen takes f1 and put immense pressure on the opponent. Queen takes f4 played by black. On takes f4. On e3. Queen c4. On e2. Black is aiming to play king g8. Queen c1. Queen takes d5 and dominate the board. Rook e5 was chosen by white. Queen takes c4. Rook takes e8 check. Black is in a commanding position. Let's go to the next game. White just played queen c8. Pause the video to figure out black's next move. White considers playing queen takes c6 check and take decisive advantage. King d4 was chosen by black. Queen h8 check. Rook e5. Rook b4 check. Knight takes b4. Queen takes e5 check. King c4. Queen c7 check. King d3. Queen h7 check. King c3. Queen g7 check. On d4. Black might go for pawn promotes to queen at d1 and dominate the board. On h7 move preferred by white. On promotes to queen at d1. Black wants to play. Rook c2 check. King g3. Queen e1 check. King g4. Rook takes g2 check, and take decisive advantage. On promotes to queen at h8 was chosen by white. Queen d3. Queen c8 check. King b2. Queen takes c1 check. King takes c1. On g3 white is outplayed. Let's go to the next game. White made a move. On f6 pause the video to find out black's response. On takes f6. On takes f6. On a2. On f7. Rook d1 check. King e4. On promotes to queen at a1. On promotes to queen at f8. Queen takes c3. Queen f5 check. King d8. Queen g5 check. King c8. Queen g4 check. King c7. Queen f4 check. King d7. Black is preparing to play. Queen takes c4 check and seizes the initiative. King f5 was chosen by white. Queen g7. Black considers playing. Queen g6 check. King e5. Queen e8 check. King f6. Queen takes e2 and take decisive advantage. Queen e5 was chosen by white. Queen f7 check. King e4. Queen takes c4 check. King f3 white has no response. Let's go to the next game. White made a move. Rook takes h5. Pause the video to analyze black's next move. Rook takes h5 check. King takes h5. On b5. Black is planning to play. On b4. On h4. On b3. King g4. On b2. On h5. On promotes to queen at b1 and seizes the initiative. On f4 was chosen by white. King d6. Black is planning to play. On b4. King g4. On b3. On h4. On b2. On h5. On promotes to queen at b1 and gain a significant edge. On f5 was chosen by white. White might go for. On f6. King e5. On f7. King d5. On promotes to queen at f8 and dominate the board. King e7 was chosen by black. Black is planning to play. King f6. On h4. On b4. King g4. On b3. King f4. On b2. On h5. On promotes to queen at b1 and dominate the board. King g5 was chosen by white. On b4. On h4. On b3. On h5. King f7. On h6. On b2. Black is setting up to play. Pawn promotes to queen at b1 and dominate the board. On h7 was chosen by white. King g7. King f4. King takes h7. On f6. King g8. On f7 check. King takes f7. King e5 white is outplayed. Let's go to the next game. Black played. Rook ac8. Pause the video and try to find white's next move. On d5. Rook fd8. Queen f6. Rook f8. Queen takes e6. Rook takes f7. Queen takes f7 check. King h8. Queen f6 check. Queen g7. Queen takes g7 check. King takes g7. On e6. On c3. On d6. On c2. On d7. White is setting up to play. Pawn promotes to queen at dx c8. King h6. Queen takes c2. King g5. Queen d2 check. King g4. Queen f4 check. King h5. Queen h4 mate and increase their advantage significantly. Pawn promotes to queen at c1 played by black. Black might go for queen e3 check. King h2. Rook c2 check. King h3. Queen takes e6 check and gain a significant edge. Rook takes c1 move preferred by white. Rook takes c1 check. King g2. Rook c2 check. King h3. White might go for pawn promotes to queen at d8 and establish a winning position. Rook d2 was chosen by black. Black is planning to play King f6. King g4. King takes e6. King g5. Rook takes d7. King f4. Rook d6 and take decisive advantage. Pawn e7 was chosen by white. White intends to play pawn promotes to queen at d8. Rook takes d8. Pawn promotes to queen at ex d8 and take decisive advantage. Rook takes d7 was chosen by black. Pawn promotes to queen at e8. White is aiming to play queen takes d7 check and take decisive advantage. Rook d3 black is outplayed. Let's go to the next game. Black played pawn a4. Pause the video to figure out white's next move. Pawn takes a4. Pawn takes a4. King d5. King f6. King takes c5. King f5. King d4. King g4. King e5. King takes h4. Pawn f4. King g3. Pawn f5. Pawn h4. Pawn f6. Pawn h3. Pawn f7. Pawn h2. Pawn promotes to queen at f8. White's idea is to play queen f1. Pawn promotes to queen at h1. Queen takes h1 and secure a stronghold in the game. Pawn promotes to queen at h1 move preferred by black. Queen f4 check. King h3. Queen h6 check. King g2. Queen takes h1 check. King takes h1. King d6. King g2. King c5. King f3. King b4. King e4. King takes a4. King d5. White is dominating the board. Let's go to the next game. Black made a move. Rook takes e4. Pause the video and try to find white's next move. Rook takes e4 check. King takes e4. Pawn takes c4. Pawn a5. Pawn a4. King e5. King d3. King f6. Pawn c5. White intends to play King e4. King e6. King d4. Pawn g5. Pawn takes g5. Pawn h4. King e4. Pawn h3. King f3 and establish a winning position. King e5 was chosen by black. King c4. Pawn g5. Black might go for pawn g4. Pawn c6. King d6. King b5. Pawn g3 and increase their advantage significantly. Pawn c6 played by white. White wants to play pawn c7. Pawn g4. Pawn promotes to queen at c8 and dominate the board. King d6 was chosen by black. Black is planning to play pawn takes h4 and increase their advantage significantly. Pawn takes g5 played by white. on h4, on g6, on h3, on g7, on h2, on promotes to queen at g8. White is setting up to play. Queen d5 check. King e7. Queen e5 check. King f7. Queen takes h2 and take decisive advantage. On promotes to queen at h1 played by black. Queen d8 check. King e6. Queen d7 check. King e5. On c7. Queen f1 check. Queen d3. Queen f4 check. King b5. Queen g4. Queen c3 check. King d5. On promotes to queen at c8. Queen b4 check. White has a decisive advantage. Let's go to the next game. Black made a move. King c6. Pause the video to figure out white's next move. King e5. On f4. King f5. King takes c5. King takes g5. King b5. King takes f4. King a4. King e4. King takes a3. On f4. On a4. On f5. King b3. On f6. On a3. On f7. On a2. On promotes to queen at f8. White wants to play. Queen g7. King c2. Queen a1. King b3. King d3. King b4. Queen takes a2 and take decisive advantage. On promotes to queen at a1 played by black. Queen f7 check. King b4. Queen b7 check. King c5. Queen c7 check. King b4. Queen d6 check. King b3. Queen d3 check. King b4. Queen d4 check. Queen takes d4 check. King takes d4. On h4. King e4. King c5. King f5. White wants to play. King g5. King d5. King takes h4 and take decisive advantage. King d5 was chosen by black. King g4. King e6. King takes h4. King f5. White has a strong upper hand. Let's go to the next game.